Hello, my name is Jeremy, and this is the True Crime Chronicles channel. In 2013, Jessica Heeringa, a 25-year-old woman, vanished under mysterious circumstances from her job site. The pursuit to find her kidnapper extended over several years, during which time a number of other women suffered harm. When authorities finally captured the culprit by chance, they uncovered deeply disturbing details about him. Jessica Heeringa, born on July 16, 1987, resided in Norton Shores, Michigan. She was raised in a humble family with a sister. At 22, Jessica became a mother to a son she named Zevin, fathered by Dakota Quayle Dyer, her long-term partner. They were still together in 2013, living in a leased home. At 25, Jessica was employed at an Exxon gas station in Norton Shores, situated in a neighborhood near Lake Michigan. Known for her warm and amiable nature as a manager, she was often praised by customers. Eager to provide for her cherished 3-year-old son, she frequently worked extra hours. Jessica's diary reflected her ambitions to advance and learn. She aspired to pursue college studies in accounting, but financial constraints hindered this goal. Dakota was unable to completely support their family, leading to regular disputes and turmoil in their relationship. The couple was engaged, yet their marriage was repeatedly deferred due to various factors. On the evening of April 26, 2013, Jessica Heeringa was fulfilling her regular duties at the Exxon gas station. Her day started as usual, with a visit to a nearby store around 3 p.m. for shopping, followed by a drive to her workplace. She arrived at the gas station around 4:35 p.m., parked her car, and began her night shift, which was supposed to conclude at 11:30 p.m. Jessica was the sole employee on duty that night. At 11:14 p.m., a customer dialed emergency services, reporting his experience at the Exxon station. He had entered the store to pay for his gas in cash, but found it unattended. He informed the 911 dispatcher, "I'm not sure what's going on, but there's no one at the station. The door is open and unlocked. Lights are still on, but there's no one to take my payment. There are just my car and another vehicle outside. Why isn't anyone here? It looks very odd." The police reached the Exxon gas station within 10 minutes of the 911 call. During their inspection of the premises, both inside and outside, they found no evidence of a struggle. Everything seemed orderly. Jessica's coat was in the back room, along with her purse containing $400, car, and house keys. A solitary drop of blood, later identified as Jessica's, was discovered near the storage area's back door. Additionally, a cap from a Walther P22 semi-automatic pistol's laser sight and 2 batteries, likely for a watch, were found on the floor. The gas station's cash register remained undisturbed, with all the money intact. The last recorded transaction was at 10:52 p.m. for a lighter. The facility lacked interior surveillance cameras. Positioned next to the cash register was Jessica's pack of cigarettes, suggesting she had briefly left her station with the intention of returning. Her locked car was parked outside, but Jessica was nowhere to be seen. She had inexplicably disappeared. Upon discovering the station unattended, police reached out to the gas station's owner, informing her of the situation. Subsequently, the owner contacted another manager living close by, requesting her to secure the premises. Additionally, the police notified Jessica's family of her disappearance. Her parents, seeking clues to her whereabouts, called her friends. One friend recalled being at the gas station between 8 and 9 p.m. that day, noting that all appeared normal then. Shortly after, a fellow employee arrived to lock up the station. This colleague recounted that around 11 p.m., she and her boyfriend had driven by the station on a motorcycle. They spotted a silver Chrysler Town Country minivan parked near the rear service door, its back door open. Suspecting Jessica might be involved in theft from the station, they paused to observe further developments. The manager observed a young man with disheveled, wavy hair near the minivan, dressed in an orange sweatshirt. She saw him repeatedly open and close the vehicle's rear door before he finally drove off. Police, reviewing surveillance footage from surrounding buildings, located a video showing a silver Chrysler passing the Exxon gas station at 11:02 p.m. A store employee nearby also spoke to the police, mentioning that he had seen the man in the minivan conversing with Jessica. Christian, the employee, initially thought the stranger was merely flirting with Jessica, given her attractiveness. He noted Jessica standing outside while the man questioned why she wasn't inside. Both Christian and Jessica's colleague, who had spotted the man by the minivan, contributed to creating a composite sketch of the unidentified individual. He was depicted as a light-complexioned young male with dark, wavy hair, a stocky build, and approximately 1.82 meters in height. The sketch was released 3 days following Jessica's disappearance. Despite numerous calls received by the police in response, no significant leads emerged from the information provided. The prevalence of the silver Chrysler minivan in the United States posed a considerable obstacle in the investigation. In Michigan, there were approximately 15,000 vehicles of this kind registered. Identifying the specific driver of the minivan linked to Jessica Heeringa's disappearance became a daunting challenge, given the vast number of identical models. Initially, Jessica Heeringa's boyfriend, Dakota Quayle Dyer, was a suspect in her disappearance. He acknowledged their frequent arguments, but denied ever physically harming her. Dakota actively cooperated with the investigation, informing the police that he was at home with their 3-year-old son on the night Jessica vanished. Lacking a car, he couldn't have traveled to her workplace. His phone records, once verified by detectives, confirmed his presence at home that evening, leading to his exclusion from the suspect list. The investigation revealed that Jessica had numerous admirers due to her amiable and outgoing personality, which sometimes led to misunderstandings. One such admirer was Jess Ammerman, a 37-year-old married plumber. He visited Jessica at the gas station around 9:30 p.m. on the day she disappeared, confessing his love and willingness to divorce his wife for her. However, Jessica rebuffed his advances. Jess left the station, called his wife, and they spoke for about 50 minutes before he returned home. Following his interrogation, a polygraph test, and interviewing his wife, Jess Ammerman was also eliminated as a suspect. Rob Fallett, the brother of the Exxon gas station's manager, emerged as the next suspect in the case. He reported visiting the gas station around 9 p.m. on the day of Jessica's disappearance. Upon greeting Jessica, he noticed her seeming downcast. Inquiring about her mood, Jessica confided about having family troubles. Rob suggested she could stay with him, but she declined. After spending a short while at the station and making a purchase, Rob departed for a night fishing trip at the lake. Detectives checked Rob's phone records for that evening, which corroborated his account of leaving the gas station for fishing. Consequently, Rob Fillet was eliminated from the suspect list. Search and rescue operations for Jessica Heeringa were launched with helicopters, expertly trained canines, and extensive searches of residential and commercial properties, wells, woodlands, and Lake Michigan. Despite these exhaustive efforts, no leads were found, leading to an impasse in the case. Nearly a year later, in February 2014, an event in Michigan strikingly similar to Jessica's case occurred. A small, blonde, bespectacled woman was assaulted by a man while returning home late at night. She was kidnapped, taken to his apartment, and attacked. Although he threatened her life, he let her go after several hours. The perpetrator, identified as 42-year-old Brad Allen Mason, was swiftly located but resisted arrest, brandishing a fake firearm at the police, which resulted in his fatal shooting. Mason had a history of criminal activity, including a 2004 kidnapping conviction and a 2011 arrest for indecent exposure. Notably, in 2014, he resided in a dormitory opposite the Exxon gas station where Jessica worked. Nonetheless, investigators found no evidence linking Mason to Jessica's disappearance. 2 years following Jessica Heeringa's disappearance in 2016, another incident involving a young woman occurred. Late at night, returning from a party at a friend's house, she became disoriented in a dark street. A man in a silver minivan approached, inquiring if she was okay and offering a ride, which she refused. However, she asked to use his phone, to which he consented, but only if she entered the minivan. Once inside, the man locked the door, revealed his phone was out of battery, and brandished a gun, instructing her to stay silent. He then began driving. Feeling sick and nauseated, the woman requested him to lower the window. Seizing the opportunity, she leaped out of the moving vehicle through the window and fled to a nearby house. The man sped away. The victim immediately contacted the police and described her kidnapper. Subsequently, through surveillance footage, the police managed to trace the license plate of the silver Chrysler Town & Country and identified the driver as 46-year-old Jeffrey Willis. Jeffrey Willis, a factory laborer, led a secluded, modest life and had no prior legal issues. When located and his minivan searched, police found a Walther P22 semi-automatic pistol. The gun was traced back to a colleague of Jeffrey's, who reported her laser-sighted gun stolen some time ago. Willis was arrested and detained. A search of his residence uncovered a box filled with various BDSM paraphernalia, including handcuffs, chains, ropes, gags, a vibrator, a video camera, and a bullet matching a Walther P22. The box also contained insulin syringes with an unidentified liquid, sedatives, Viagra, lubricant, disposable gloves, and a diagram of a woman's anatomy with marked injection sites. On his computer, numerous videos depicted appalling kidnapping scenes with young women as victims. A hidden hard drive in a ventilation duct contained footage Willis had recorded of his female neighbors swimming, unbeknownst to them. A folder titled Victims on the computer held two subfolders, one named for the missing Jessica Heeringa and another for a murdered woman named Rebecca. Rebecca Bletch, age 36, was tragically murdered on June 29, 2014. Roughly a year after Jessica Heeringa vanished, in an area just 20 minutes from where Jessica worked at the Exxon gas station. Rebecca went out for an evening run, but never made it back home. She was found by neighbors lying on the road, with her clothing disheveled, initially leading to the belief that she was struck by a car. Although unconscious, Rebecca still had a pulse when discovered. Emergency services were called, but she succumbed to her injuries before they could save her. Autopsy reports revealed she died from 3 gunshot wounds to her back and head, with multiple bruises on her wrists and legs. At the time of her death, the perpetrator remained at large. However, 2 years after Jeffrey Willis's arrest, evidence linked Rebecca's murder to the pistol found in Willis's minivan. Willis denied his involvement. Prosecutors theorized that Willis had attempted to abduct Rebecca and bring her to his home. When Rebecca resisted, Willis reportedly shot her and fled. Forensic analysis found Rebecca's DNA on a glove recovered from Willis's residence. Jeffrey Willis was convicted for the murder of Rebecca Bletch and received a life sentence. While serving his sentence, he faced additional charges related to the kidnapping of Jessica Heeringa. Willis consistently denied any involvement in Jessica's disappearance. However, a review of his phone records showed that on the night Jessica vanished, he was present at the Exxon gas station where she was last seen. Subsequently, he traveled to his deceased grandfather's house, which was roughly 13 minutes from the station. Upon arrival at the grandfather's residence, police encountered a heavily secured front door. Forcing entry, they discovered an assortment of cleaning products, powders, and bleaches in the basement. The manufacturing dates on these items were marked as early 2013, aligning with the time frame of Jessica's disappearance. Colleagues of Jeffrey Willis reported a notable absence on April 27, 2013, the day following Jessica Heeringa's disappearance. Willis, uncharacteristically, failed to show up for his factory job. When he did return to work a few days later, he had conspicuous deep scratches on his face and hands, raising further suspicions among those who knew him. A woman who had visited the gas station on April 25th, the day before Jessica Heeringa's disappearance, later reached out to the police. She arrived at the station late in the evening and expressed concern to Jessica about being there alone at such a late hour. Jessica acknowledged her concern with a nod, appearing anxious and somewhat scared. At that moment, an unknown man inside the station told the visitor, "Don't worry, she has customers who look after her." Shortly thereafter, he left the premises. The concerned visitor, still worried for Jessica's safety, stayed in her car outside until Jessica finished her shift and headed home. Tragically, Jessica disappeared the following day. In 2016, the witness from the gas station positively identified Jeffrey Willis, recalling seeing him there. Investigators learned that Willis had frequented the Exxon gas station, interacting with Jessica Heeringa on at least 15 occasions. Concurrently, 48-year-old Kevin Bloom, Willis's cousin and a prison guard, was taken into custody. Kevin's inconsistent statements during interrogation eventually led to a confession. He disclosed information about Rebecca Bletch's death that hadn't been publicly known. Kevin also confessed to assisting Jeffrey in concealing Jessica's body. He described how, on April 27th, the day after Jessica's abduction, Jeffrey invited him over for a party at his house. Upon arriving at his late grandfather's residence, Kevin saw Jessica for the first time, lying on the floor, bound and lifeless. The cousins wrapped her body in a sheet, transported it in a car to a forest where Jeffrey had pre-dug a grave, and buried her. They then returned home. When Kevin Bloom led the police to the forest to identify the burial site of Jessica Heeringa's body, He spent a considerable amount of time wandering through the area. Despite his efforts, he was unable to pinpoint the precise location where they had buried the body. The trial of Jeffrey Willis commenced despite Jessica Heeringa's body not being found, either alive or deceased. The prosecution presented substantial evidence to charge Willis with her kidnapping and murder. Their case posited that Willis had been stalking Jessica for an extended period. On the night of April 26, 2013, he allegedly parked his vehicle near the service entrance of the gas station, entered the premises, and struck Jessica on the head with his gun. It was during this assault that the cover of the gun's laser sight reportedly fell off, and Jessica's blood was spilled on the floor. Willis then purportedly dragged Jessica out through the service exit, placed her in the back seat of his car, transported her to his late grandfather's house, and there, engaged in his most horrific acts. A forensic computer analysis of Jeffrey Willis's devices revealed that he stored photographs and news articles about the search for Jessica on his computer, following the investigation's progress. It was discovered that Willis used a password, displayed on the screen, consisting of Jessica's initials and the date April 27, 2013, which is presumed to be the actual date of Jessica's death. She likely died the day after her disappearance. Jeffrey Willis denied his guilt, insisting he was at home on the night of the kidnapping. His lawyers argued that the prosecution had no direct evidence linking him to the case. No DNA belonging to Jessica was found in Willis's house or car. Willis's defense team, learning from Dakota that Jessica had developed a serious substance abuse problem before her disappearance, suggested that her kidnapping might be linked to illegal drug trafficking. Jeffrey Willis was convicted of murdering Jessica Heeringa and received a life sentence without parole. Throughout the trial, he displayed neither remorse nor empathy. His cousin, Kevin Bloom, was found guilty of assisting in the disposal of Jessica's body. Kevin was sentenced to 2 years in prison and 5 years of probation. He also faced suspension from his position in the prison system. The narrative around Jeffrey Willis took another turn a few years after his conviction. He became a suspect in an older, unresolved case. On October 17, 1996, in Fruitport, Michigan, Angela Thornburg, a young woman, was found dead, with her killer never apprehended. Willis, a 1988 graduate from the same high school as Angela, became linked to her 1996 murder. In that year, 28-year-old Willis was a janitor at his alma mater. Concerns arose when the principal noted his excessive time in the computer lab and initiated a check on his computer activities during work. The findings remain undisclosed, but Willis was asked to resign immediately after the review. The ongoing investigation into Angela's murder is shrouded in secrecy. A decade since Jessica Heeringa's disappearance, her remains are still undiscovered. In the wake of this tragedy, a legal battle ensued over the custody of Zevin, her son, between her sister and Dakota, Jessica's partner. Ultimately, Zevin is being raised by Jessica's biological family. Additionally, Jessica's parents have been instrumental in advocating for legislative changes. Their efforts led to the enactment of a law requiring gas stations operating at night to install surveillance cameras, aiming to prevent such incidents in the future. If you liked this story, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new videos. Don't forget to like and share your opinion in the comments. This is Jeremy. See you in the next video.